Good morning, everybody, and welcome out to the Infusionsoft Virtual Academy. My name is Scott Richens. I'm a member of the training team here with Infusionsoft, and I'm excited to have you here with me today on this session of the Virtual Academy. You've probably been to a few of mine, and you hear me say that all the time. The fact of the matter is I love what I do, and I love working with you guys here. So today we're going to be focusing on e-commerce setup. Now, the first thing I like to do is make sure everybody can hear me just fine. They can see my screen and that all systems are go. Perfect, Scott. You were ready to go there. I can tell. Scott knows the drill here. He's on a number of my calls. Good to have you, Anne-Marie. Good to see you again. Joshua, wonderful. It's always fun to see some familiar names here. I always love when I get to match faces with names as well. So if you ever swing down to an event here at Infusionsoft, be sure to come find me. Today's session, we're going to be focusing on e-commerce setup. So the first thing that I like to ask as we're getting started here, we've got quite a few people on the call. I like to get a sense of how long you've been using Infusionsoft, so I understand here. So I'm going to throw up a poll here on the screen. If you could go ahead and give me some feedback there, give me some context, and let me know how long you've been with us. Your company. You may be new to the company, but I'm curious how long your company's been with us. 0 to 30 days, 30 to 90 days, 3 to 12 months, 1 to 2 years, or 2+ years. If you can go ahead and give me some feedback there. Wow, looks like most of you have voted already. We're at 75% here. I'll go ahead and leave that up for about 10 more seconds to let some of those that have just joined the call vote as well, or at least give me a poll here. There's no right or wrong or anything on that. So we'll go 5 more seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Perfect. All right. Anne-Marie says she's been with us for almost 1 month exactly. Awesome. Now let me save this information. There we go. Okay. Now, today's session, I'm going to flip on the screen here. I've got a little bit of setup that I want to cover here as we get started. I have a very short presentation, but then we're going to dive right into the software. So this particular session, because it's very detailed, there are a number of different options that you may choose. I'm not going to invite you to follow along with me. We're not going to go through setup products and set up your cart along the way today. I do that in many of my other sessions. This particular one, it's going to be about an hour long, but I'm going to focus on teaching you what you need to do as you go through to set up your e-commerce platform in Infusionsoft. So I'm going to invite you to follow along on your screens if you'd like to, but we're not going to take a lot of time together to actually do setup on this particular one. When there are a couple settings that I will show you, I'll invite you at those times as we go. On my screen here, you'll notice I have my Twitter handle. I invite you to connect with me on Twitter. My Twitter handle is Scott Richens. Everything that I post regarding the Infusionsoft Virtual Academy series is posted using the hashtag ISVA, so that you can follow that hashtag, and any other questions that people ask using that hashtag as well. You can begin to follow the conversation there. Additionally, this recording or this session is being recorded, and I will make it available tomorrow, perhaps later this afternoon, depending on how quickly it converts. And I announced that on Twitter, much as I did yesterday for Monday's session. So I invite you to follow me on Twitter. I'll let you know as soon as that's available, and then you can download and review the recording if you'd like to do so. Now, let me flip on my slides here, and we will get started with the slide portion of this. One thing I want to make sure that you're aware of is our Infusionsoft universities that we're putting on. Our May one has already sold out, but if you're over in the Europe area, London, England, any of the surrounding areas there, you may want to check out our session that we're hosting there in London, June 18th through the 21st. Again, for more details there, check out infusionsoft.com/UK University. Now, one other thing I want to make sure that you're aware of, I'm pointing these out because I found out a number of our customers don't know about them. The Mastermind Webinar Series is another free webinar series that is essentially the next series of webinars that I want you checking out after you finish the Virtual Academy. The Virtual Academy focuses on the foundational elements of Infusionsoft. I teach you the basics, and we roll through those same basics. I repeat them every few weeks, every 2-3 weeks. The Mastermind Webinar Series is a new topic every week. It's a crowdsourced topic. You get to vote on the topics, vote up the ones that are most important to you that you'd like to see taught. And it's a different usually a deeper dive topic every week. So it's the natural place for you to go next. I invite you to sign up for that. You can do so at help.infusionsoft.com/mastermind. Scott says they're excellent, highly recommend. And that's Scott here that's on the call with us. That's not me quoting myself, because that would be odd. Now, jumping into what we're covering here today, 5 ways to sell online. When you're using Infusionsoft e-commerce or the Infusionsoft sales features, what you're able to do is sell online 5 different ways. You can even sell offline. I'll show you this. Number 1, you can sell using the Infusionsoft storefront and shopping cart. Number 2 is you can utilize your own storefront and shopping cart. Usually at this point, people ask, what's the difference between a storefront and shopping cart? That's my next slide, so I'll cover that in a moment. Number 3, you can use order forms. 4 is manual entry, which enables you to do offline sales. And 5 is API, that's application programming interface. We're not going to cover 4 or 5 in depth on the call today. 5 I never get into. 4 I only get into if people are asking questions on it, and we can cover that during the Q&A portion. But today we're going to focus primarily on 1, 2, and 3 using the storefront, the shopping cart, and order form. So let's dive a little bit deeper into what those are. As we're talking about the storefront and the shopping cart, your storefront is, I want you to picture when you go down to your local grocery store or Walmart or Target, whatever it is, whatever store that you frequent often, you go to that store, and as you enter the doors of the store, they have shelves and racks of products that you're able to then go explore. And they have all of their products on display for you. That's like your storefront, okay? If you go to your online equivalent, it's like going to Amazon.com and you can peruse all of the different products that they have. They have them all on display for you. You can search for them and go look at all the different details about all of the products. That doesn't mean you're buying them, but those are the products that are on display for you to choose from. That's your storefront. Now the shopping cart, your storefront here is where you browse and you view products. The shopping cart is where the transaction actually takes place. So as you're walking up and down the aisles of your store, you're taking certain things off the shelf and putting them in your cart. You then take that cart up to the front where you have the cashier, and that is where the transaction takes place. They swipe your credit card, you give them the money, however that happens, and the products become yours. So that's where the transaction occurs for the products that you have chosen from the storefront. So that's the difference between the two. The storefront is where all the products are displayed. The transaction is where the shopping cart is where the transaction takes place. Now, let's talk about order forms. Order forms are a little bit different. Order forms essentially put a very small number of products on display. It's 1 or 2, maybe 3 products. Usually it's very focused. If you have a particular product that you want somebody to purchase, that's the one that you have them focus on. It may be the equivalent of kind of putting it in the window. Okay, so you put a particular product on display. In fact, they can't see all of the rest of the products that you have. Your order form is limited to a single product or a small group of products. Now, what happens with that, remember before I just told you about the storefront and the shopping cart are 2 different things. The order form kind of wraps it all together. It takes that product and it pretty much puts it in your cart already, and the transaction takes place all on one page. So the products are displayed, the product information, as well as the transaction. So that's the difference between the two. You'll use the storefront and the shopping cart if you have a whole bunch of products that you want people to be able to explore, and you will use an order form if you want to have a very targeted, focused sales experience where you're sending somebody to purchase a single product or a small group of products, and that's all that you want them to see. So that's the difference between the two. You can use both of them at the same time. You can use manual orders and API. You can use all of those in combination. Sometimes a certain way of selling it makes more sense depending on your setting and your goals and your focus there. So let's break down what we're going to cover today. There are the 5 steps that I want to go through here today. Number 1, setting up your products and subscriptions. Number 2, configuring your shopping cart theme. 3, configuring your order form themes. And then we're going to go into 4, setting up your merchant accounts, connecting your merchant accounts. And then lastly, we'll circle back around, talk a little bit about upsells and cross sells. Now, let's go ahead and jump into Infusionsoft. And I invite you to do this with me. Go ahead and jump into Infusionsoft. Many of you may be seeing this Infusionsoft ID coming up here in the near future. This is something that's coming out along with our new release. So be aware of this. Really what it's going to ask you to do if you haven't yet created an Infusionsoft ID is to do so. And that gives you, it makes me think of, what do they say? Lord of the Rings, one ring to rule them all. You've got basically one login that will allow you to access your Infusionsoft account, Customer Hub if you have one, multiple Infusionsoft accounts, our marketplace. There are a lot of things that will benefit you with it. So you can click Create Your Infusionsoft ID, you put in an email address and account, and then it will ask you to link it using your old username and password from how you used to access Infusionsoft before. So that's what that's doing there. Let me get logged in. Whoops. I've got 2 L's in Gmail. My apologies. All right. So once we get logged into Infusionsoft, where we're going to go is to this e-commerce setup option. So if you hover over the main navigation and then you go over to e-commerce, we're going to click on e-commerce setup. And that will take us to this page. This is really our landing page, our dashboard, where we're going to go to set up everything related to e-commerce. And we're just going to walk through this step by step. Now, as we're getting started here, we're going to talk about products. So let's click on products. Regardless of how you sell, your products have to exist within Infusionsoft. So we're going to set up the products first. Now, question that I want to ask you today is, what types of products do you sell? I want to get an idea here of what kinds of products do you sell. So go ahead and give me some feedback on this. You can choose any or all of these. Physical products, coaching, training, and or membership programs, digital products, subscription services that are subscription products that must be shipped, or professional services. So I'll give you a moment there to give me some feedback on what we're selling. We have some different ways to handle a few of these options. And so I want to be able to speak to those appropriately. So I'll leave this up for about 5 more seconds. Again, if you want to give me some feedback on what types of products you sell, I've got physical products, coaching, training, and or membership programs, digital products, subscription products that must be shipped, and professional services. Choose any or all of those. And we'll leave that up for 5 more seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. Let me close that poll. I'm going to take a quick screenshot here to save that information. And this is what it looks like. This is what you guys, the feedback you guys just gave me there. Most of you have coaching, training, and or membership programs, followed by professional services, physical products, and digital products. Okay. Wow. Nobody has subscription products that must be shipped. All right. So I'm going to speak to all of these here today as we go through it, the ones that we've got listed here. So when we are on the product page, let me hide these results so you can see my screen again. When we are on this products page, what we have the ability to do is click Add a Product. And what that asks us to do is give it a product name, as well as define a product type. Now, the product type here is what relates to what types of products do you sell. So I want to give you some guidance here. Okay, we only give you 2 options, but as you notice, I just gave you a bunch of different options. They're professional services, subscriptions, digital products. So I want to draw some clarity here. The only time you choose digital products is if the only time you need to choose it. So really, to me, the only time you choose it is when you have a digital product that you will deliver a download link via email as soon as they've purchased. That's the easiest way I found to describe it. For everything else, product or service or recurring subscription or membership site, you choose product for all of those. Okay, going back, digital product, the only time I choose digital product is when I have a follow-up, email that I'm going to send that includes a email with a download link to download the product. Okay. So what I would recommend you do is you give this a product name, and then for the most part, you will choose product and then hit save. Now I already have a product that's set up here that we're going to go into. I just remembered I had changed a setting here yesterday that I want to turn off real quick. So give me one moment to go turn that particular setting off. And there we go. Okay. So now what I've done is I've clicked through onto this particular product. Okay, so I clicked through on the one that I said I called study course, and I'm going to leave that as a product at this point instead of a digital product. And so let's walk through and let's talk about the different options that we have here. Really, when you come to set up your product, there's a few things that you got to look at. Your product name and product type you already set up when you clicked add new product. Short description, what this enables you to do is give your short description that will appear along with your product. Now, what I like to do as we're going through this is actually pull up a side-by-side comparison for you. So let me pull up a preview. Here we go. Don't mind my quick clicking there. Okay, what I was trying to pull up quickly here is your storefronts. Okay, and so notice right here, this is the product that we're talking about, and it shows the title, and it also shows the dollar amount. Depending on the theme that you choose, it may also show your short description. The short description will also show when you add this particular product to your when you add this particular product to the cart, the short description will show there as well. So this is something that your customers will see. Active just defines whether or not it's available for sale. Price is the price that you'll sell it for, and SKU stands for storekeeping unit. If you use SKUs, great. If you don't, it's not required, so you don't need to place that within there. Categories then begin to define where your products will appear. So if I want to categorize all of my products, I could do so that when somebody clicks through on a category, they will then be able to navigate through my storefront based on the organization that I've set forth through my categories. Now, if I want something to appear on my home page, I simply need to leave that product uncategorized, and it will by default appear here on the home page. To the right here, we have some options: shipping, weight, taxable. So let's talk about these. Shipping first. If I need to charge shipping for this particular product, then this product has to be defined as yes. The shipping option here has to be defined as yes. Later on in this session, I'll show you where shipping takes place, where we configure all of that. But here specifically, you need to set this as yes if you're charging shipping. If you say no, then it will simply ignore charging shipping rates in the cart. Now, this next portion here, this is something I want you to follow along with me on. It says weight right here, and then it simply has a numeric value. But the question is, what is the unit of measure? Are we talking about grams or pounds or ounces or kilograms? I want you to follow somewhere with me right now so that you can define that. You don't have to remember to define it later. Okay. There's one spot within the system in our order settings where we can go define what this unit of measure is. So I want you to go there with me. We're going to go to the main navigation. We're going to go to e-commerce settings. And underneath e-commerce settings, there's an option here under order settings called orders. And if we scroll all the way down, there's this fulfillment portion, and it says shipping unit. So what we're able to choose here is define what that shipping unit is. If you're doing weight-based shipping, or you're having the UPS connection calculate your shipping charges based on weight, it's important that you have this correct. So define your shipping unit here: pounds, ounces, kilograms, and grams. And once you've defined that, then you don't need to worry about this again in the future. Just know that that's your shipping unit. And then you can simply click Save. And that's all you need to do. Now, once you're done with that, we can go back to our products. So I'm going to head back over to e-commerce setup, I can also click products right here, view products, and go back into my study course. So this is where we were. Shipping, weight, the taxable option. Now, I'm going to show you a little bit later on in the call how to set up your tax tables, what taxes you're responsible for. But on a product by product basis, what you have the opportunity to do is define whether or not each of those products are taxable, and if so, what taxes you're responsible to collect, be that on a country, a state, or a city level. So that's all you have to do there is just define, is it taxable? Yes. Which ones individually are you responsible to collect? And then the last option down here is cart options. The only thing you need to pay attention into here after I click edit is this option that says is hidden in cart. If for some reason you have a product, but you don't want that product to appear in your storefront, you simply check this box and it will then hide that product from your customers. They won't be able to access it in your storefront. You can still sell it through order forms or manually, but it's not available for the general people. Now, as we go through this, there's a few more things. Long description. What you're able to do on long description, that defines, going back over here to our storefront, your long description is where you can place a lot more details about your product, go into more detailed specifications. I think you can even throw a product video in there if you embed a video or otherwise. And you can do that simply by clicking edit and use our WYSIWYG editor. Or if you choose to get more advanced and use some HTML styling, you can do that using this source tab. So that takes us through our first tab that we have on setting up our products here. The next one here is the subscription plans. Now, subscription plans come in very handy when you want to do a recurring billing. If you want somebody to sign up for your membership program, or maybe you've got a retainer program where somebody can hire you, whatever it is that might be a recurring billing on a cycle, you can define that here. You can set up different cycles here. Bill every. You can set a specific number of weeks, months, years, or days. I have some examples down here where I've set up once a year, once a month, every 3 months for 12 months, once a week. You can set up some different options here. So that's your bill every. That defines your cycle. Number of cycles, if you want to limit the total number of cycles that it goes through. So maybe it's monthly for a year. I could do once a month for 12 cycles, because 12 cycles is 12 months for a year. And then my price plan, many times you may want to give people a discount for signing up for a subscription or a more frequent subscription. So then what you're able to do is give this particular subscription option a different price from the original price that we set up over here in product information. Here's what that would look like. One time of $49.99, or I can give different discounts, $48.99 every year, $45.99 every month, $46.99 every 3 months. Okay, you're able to set up different pricing plans as you need. So that's our subscription plan option. This first one right here is subscription only. What that does, if you check the box, is it removes the option to do a one-time purchase. So that's what you're able to set up there. I have a few questions that have been coming through. Let me see. Mark, yes, you can import data on your product, so I can point that at her towards the end. Monica, I'll show you that one here in a moment. Hang tight on digital files. And Dan said, do I need Customer Hub to offer subscriptions? Good question there, Dan. You do not need Customer Hub to offer subscriptions. Customer Hub is great if you have an online membership-based program, which you could charge for as a subscription. You may not even charge that one as a subscription. Really where the subscription comes into play is whenever you have some sort of recurring charge that you're charging for month by month. Sometimes that's a retainer that you may have if somebody retains your services. That could be a recurring shipment. I have some people who ship out supplements every month, and people just sign up for a subscription so they don't have to remember to purchase it every month. So that's what you're able to do with your subscriptions. Now, product image, what you're able to do here is simply upload a single image that we will then resample to give you your different image sizes necessary throughout the cart. Notice right here we have the large option, the large image, but back on our product grid, we had a smaller image, okay? So we resample all of those to make those the appropriate sizes for you. You're able to simply browse and upload a product. Now, going back to Mark's question on importing data, Mark, you can import all of the data related to your products. The one thing that you cannot import at this time is the images. So, Mark, you will need to then go in and load those images one by one. The product options, this one isn't used extensively, but what the product options give you is the ability to either gather information through a drop-down list like this, okay? It says size right here. Please select the size, small, medium, large. You can add additional charges for those options if necessary. Also, what you could do is have somebody type in a custom information. So I remember a few years back, I bought a custom jersey from NFLshop.com. I had to specify a size, and then I could also specify a custom name on the back of it. And so those are the types of options that you can gather through these product option selections that you can create. Now you can give it a name. The name here is the name of the option. So size. This one I named name because I'm asking for what name did we want. Option type, select from a fixed list will be a drop down, or option is typed by the end user. That one will then be the free form option there, where they can then just type information. Now, each of these, as they pop up, once you click add, you can then go in and set up the value names. The code isn't really necessary, but it will represent just what is your short code for it and whether or not there is a price adjustment. Not a ton of people use the product options. Those are available for use in your storefront and your order forms, but not on manual orders. And note that you are only allowed 3 options if you're creating 3 different types of options, okay? You can put multiple choices within each of those options, but you can only do 3 different types of options. Links right here, where links comes into play if you are using your own storefront. So remember earlier when I talked about the difference between your storefront and your shopping cart, your storefront is where all of the products are displayed. Sometimes people choose to create their own storefronts and link those to the Infusionsoft shopping cart. Alternatively, you may choose to use sales pages to sell your products through the Infusionsoft shopping cart. These product links are your friend. What these product links enable you to do is you could put this link behind a buy now button. So you create your own storefront, you put a buy now link on there or an add to cart link. You would use this hyperlink as the link for that button, because here's what happens. When they click that link, they go to that web address, and what it does is it adds that product to the Infusionsoft shopping cart and takes them there all at the same time. So these links are your friend if you are using your own storefront, or you are using you're using sales pages to sell your products. QuickBooks information. This is something I did a mastermind call on last week. So if you're interested in that, let me know. I'll send you information on how to set that up. But that's more of an advanced feature if you need to connect to QuickBooks. Now, let me hit product information here. One of the other questions that popped up was digital products. So let me change this to a digital option and hit save. That opened up a new tab here that said digital files. Okay, with digital files, what we have is the ability to attach some files that will then be delivered to somebody after they have purchased. You simply upload the files here by clicking add file. My understanding is that there is still a 10 megabyte file size limitation here. So if you're trying to send out a large video or audio, this is not the best way to do that. You would want to look at a better solution like Customer Hub that would then host that information. Customer Hub is an add-on product that is a sister product to Infusionsoft. So if you want to know more about that, let me know. I'll point you in the right direction. But the digital files option here is great for sending smaller follow-up products. So like an ebook or a PDF or a short audio file, you can send those as an automatic email that goes out as soon as somebody has purchased a product. Now, what you're able to do, like I said, add those files. if you are doing software, you can apply license keys right here. You simply paste in all of your different license keys, and Infusionsoft can actually send out those license keys one by one as people purchase this product. Days available and download limit are some controls that you can set on the availability of the files. So after somebody receives the email and has purchased the product, you can limit the total number of days that they have to purchase or to download that product, rather. You can also limit the total number of times that they can download the product if you so choose. Now, the most important thing here is that you actually configure and set up the email that will be sent out to them. If you don't do this properly, they won't get their products. So email templates, I'm not going to teach you completely in depth how to build an entire email here. I have another session where I teach that in its entirety. What I want to focus on here is the specific parts that you need to add if you're selling a digital product here. So I have a template that I've already set up called Test Digital Product Delivery. I'm going to click Edit, and it will take me to that product, or to that email rather. If I open the email itself, what I want you to notice is I can put in some merge information. Here's your license keys, and I can put in merge information. So just like we customize an email with somebody's first name or phone number information or whatever it might be to personalize the email, we can do the same thing here, which will give them their personalized download links and their personalized license keys. So let me show you how that's done. I'll delete these here. If we're giving somebody a license key, both of these sets of information come from our merge field options. Now, if you don't have the new release quite yet, you should here within the next week or so. Either way, you'll simply open your merge field option. So your merge field option under the older layout may be over here on the right-hand side. You'll click that link and it will pop up this window. Merge fields, you can scroll to the bottom and you have an option here that says digital products. So the only ones that people really need to use code, ignore. You probably won't need that. If you need to send somebody a license key, simply click that link and it will merge in a unique license key for them. It will pick one from the list of license keys that you've uploaded. You can download your product here. You would want to use the link. So study course is my product link. This will give them a link to their unique download page where they can download the files that they have now purchased. So those are the options that you have here. It's very important that you actually set these up properly so that the appropriate links and information will be sent out to them after they have purchased the product. So I will close that there. And then you would simply mark this as ready to send and hit save, and that product would then be sent out as soon as somebody has purchased, or that email would be sent out as soon as somebody has purchased the product. So that takes us through essentially everything that we have to do with products. Okay, we've just walked through all of that, and that's really the heavy lifting that takes place in e-commerce setup. You set up all of your products. Categories you can take a look at. That's just managing your categories. I showed you earlier, you can select categories for your products. This is where you can rearrange them and how they appear in your storefront. You can add subcategories as necessary and delete them. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time there. Product bundle links is great if you sell via sales pages and you need to sell groupings of products. So if some of you need that information, let me know and I'll cover that in the Q&A portion. Mary asked, can you hide a category on the storefront? Mary, you cannot. The only way to hide it would be to delete it. Now, the next part that I want to start getting into was our second stage of things. I said I'd show you how to begin to customize your shopping cart themes. And then the third one was going to be customizing your order form themes. They're essentially the same. So if you feel that you need order forms and not shopping carts, pay attention right now anyways, because I'm only going to teach it once and then I'll just draw the parallels the second time through as I show you the order forms, okay? We're going to walk through the shopping cart themes first here. Now, on shopping cart themes, let me go ahead and go full screen here. Shopping cart themes, you can define an active theme, but then you can have inactive themes. These are ones that you can apply. Maybe you set up a theme for holiday times or otherwise. You can have backup themes that you can then make active as necessary. What I want to show you here is how we create a new theme. So if you create a new theme, you have a choice in layout options here. One column has 1 to 10 products, or sorry, it doesn't have 1 to 10 products, but it's ideal if you're selling 1 to 10 products. We recommend you use this layout. Whereas if you're selling 10 to 50 products or more, you can use the 2-column layout. Now, there are a few differences there. Your navigation on the 2-column will be on the left-hand side, and it will display subcategories. Your 1-column, the navigation is up top, and it will not display subcategories. You simply have fewer products, so it's designed to not be inherently complex. So you choose your layout, and then once you've chosen your layout, you can choose a theme. Now, we give you some basic themes to choose from: basic gray, basic blue, basic beige. These have different color schemes included on them if you'd like to see it. You simply click and you'll get a larger view. This has some nice blues in it. This one over here has a little beige color scheme instead, or you can go with something different. Now, most of these have a counterpart, which is in the order forms as well. So you can make your order forms in Storefront look very similar out of the box. The only one that does not is this one called Vanilla, but the rest have a counterpart within order form themes. So let's go ahead and choose one here. I'm going to choose this Photo Experts option. I'll say use this theme. And now I can give it a name. So I'm going to call this, for me, since this is my Infusionsoft Virtual Academy demo, I'm going to call this my April demo number 2. Okay, I would give it a name of either what this is for, if it's a seasonal theme, or if it's just your main theme, your default theme. Great, just call it that. You can click on Save, and that will then take you to where you can customize the theme. Now, here's what you're able to do. First thing, images, company area, company logo, top banner. Hold on, I want to do something here real quick. I'm going to go back to themes, and I want to make this one we just created our default theme, so I can start to draw some parallels here. Here we go. All right, so let me go back to the home section. There we go. Okay, so by default, this is what it looks like. Okay, pretty good out of the box, but this logo is not us. This image right here is not us. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at what we can begin to modify. You definitely want to make this look and feel like your company. So I'm going to get back into that edit screen here. If you wanted to replace the image that's in the upper left with your logo, you can simply do that by clicking edit and give us an image. We recommend that the image not be wider than 960 pixels. I would also recommend, if this has a nice background here that you want to have show through, make sure that your logo is a transparent version of your logo, so that image, the background image there, then shows through. HTML areas. Now, what I want you to notice here is this says common areas, and then it has custom header, custom footer. What we've got right here is the ability for you to customize over and above the basics of the theme here. You can begin to customize it to your needs. So it's showing you this slight green portion is showing you what it will affect. So if I put in some custom header information right here, it would display here towards the top above my logo. Okay, now what I want to point out and make sure that you're aware of is this says HTML areas. If you want things to really look right and look appropriate, you'll want to put in HTML code within here. Okay, so for example, as we get down here a little bit further, storefront, custom home product grid top, what that's talking about is this image right here. If you want to replace this image, you'll need to do that using this HTML code right here. If you're not familiar with HTML, I invite you to work with your web designer, whoever it is that manages your website or helps you with your code, and have them get into this portion here for you. They can begin to stylize the content, or they can add the content here to these different portions of your storefront and shopping cart. There are some things that you can change easily, like the labels. Okay, so right here, storefront, it says products, search results. Okay, those options right here where it says products, you can simply change that by typing in a new value right here. So if I wanted it to say services instead, I could simply type services right here and then hit save down at the bottom, and it would then update immediately. Edit CSS. CSS stands for your cascading style sheets. If you want to modify the appearance, which is where you control your fonts, colors, and background images, you can do that in this top portion. Layout down below is where you would control the general layout of your store, column widths and otherwise. Now, again, this is all code. If you're not familiar with code here, I invite you to work with your web developer to make the modifications that are necessary here. You can go in, change the colors of all kinds of things and make those modifications. If you are able to figure out code, it's probably going to be pretty easy to start to see what these are impacting and make some tweaks to see how that affects your store. You can do that. Like I said, if you're not familiar with code at all, I do recommend that you work with your web developer to make the modifications here. The last option here is your settings within your cart. If you want to hide the promo code field or hide this continue shopping button, you can simply check these boxes and it will remove both of those from your cart experience. The continue shopping URL defines where somebody will go when they click continue shopping. So for those of you that are using your own storefront, you definitely want to make sure that you modify this continue shopping URL to redirect them back to your store. So wherever that's hosted, you'll want to redirect them there appropriately. The thank you URL defines the page that they will go to after they have purchased and completed their order with you through the Infusionsoft shopping cart. And then the finish shopping URL, on that thank you page, they can click finish shopping and it will take them to another page. You can define what that page is. So that takes us through essentially everything that you need to access in designing your theme. Again, out of the box, there's some things that you can do very quickly and easily. Choose a theme, swap out your logo right here. And heck, if this image, obviously that image right in here wouldn't work for you, you could just delete that and at least be on your way having a store that's live and ready to go. So as I mentioned, shopping cart themes, we're able to set up. Order form themes are very similar. You're able to create those themes. Again, you can click create a new theme and you can choose a 1 or 2 column layout and choose a theme there. Okay, again, here I'll choose a 1 column layout. I'll choose this same look and feel here, use this theme. And click save. And I want you to notice it's very similar here. Logo, I can swap out. HTML areas, same thing here. I'm able to now add some custom HTML information. Labels I can change, and edit CSS. I can change the appearance and the layout CSS. So that's why I said I'm not going to go in depth on this a second time through. What this is really, it's really just a transfer over from the shopping cart. It's the same type of setup and configuration options. Now, the next portion here, checkout. Shopping cart settings. Within the shopping cart settings, what you're able to do is define how you want your shopping cart to behave. Do you want them to have a multi-step checkout, which enables them to log in and save some of their payment information? If you have a lot of recurring and repeat customers, then this is something that you might want to look at. I often just use the single-step checkout, and people don't have to then create an account. They can simply put in their billing and shipping information and off they go. Default country defines what the default country will be here under billing and shipping information. Now, I mentioned taxes earlier. If you need to charge sales taxes, you check this box right here that says charge sales tax. And then you'll want to make sure that your sales tax tables are set up properly. And this is where you do that. You can click right here, and this will take you over to your sales tax tables. Additionally, you can access this directly by going to e-commerce settings and clicking on sales tax. What you're able to do is set up your country, state, and city sales taxes here individually. You can click on country, select which country you're in, and then define what that percentage is. Let me go back here and show you with adding a state sales tax. It will allow you to type the state right here, percent option. You can define what the percentage is that you need to collect and whether or not that compounds on the country tax subtotal. So that's what you're able to do here, is set each of those up. I recommend that you work with your accountant or your tax professional, excuse me, your accountant or your tax professional to get the appropriate guidance there on which taxes that you're responsible to collect there. Let me go back here to our e-commerce setup options. So that takes us essentially through the things most people need on the shopping cart settings portion. If you want to be notified every time a shopping cart order gets placed, then simply put in your email address here and you'll get a happy email every time somebody orders. It says, hey, an order just went through. Now the big part here. We've talked about setting up your products, setting up your design and your checkout and everything. Now let's talk about taking payment options. If we go to the payment options tab here, what this allows us to do is define which types of payment options that we want to accept. Okay, you can accept PayPal, you can accept credit cards and checks. So let me go through each of these. PayPal, it's actually a pretty quick and easy setup. If you're adding a new PayPal account, you can simply type in your email address here, define which currency that you're collecting. And before you're ready to go live, make sure you uncheck this box that says put account in test mode for testing. But that's all you need to do, okay? And then that will allow people to pay via PayPal. It will take them over there to then finalize the transaction. Now, right here, hide PayPal when someone orders a subscription. The one thing you do need to be aware of with PayPal is our current integration with PayPal does not support subscriptions or payment plans. So anything that has a future payment, you cannot use the PayPal option for. So I recommend that you check this box to make sure that that is then hidden. If you do need to collect recurring payments through subscriptions or payment plans, you'll either want to use a credit card option, or there's a third-party integration out there called Subscription Boss that you can check out that will allow you to do those to do recurring payments through PayPal and Infusionsoft. So we are working on enhancing that integration, but I don't have an ETA for that at this time. Credit cards, what you're able to do with credit cards is simply connect to a merchant account that you have. Now you have to go work with these merchant accounts to set up the account directly with them. That could be somebody like PowerPay, Authorize.net, First Data. Okay, those are your different options that you have here. Each one of those, as you select them, you then simply need to type in your authorization information. Name is customizable. You get to define what that name is. Them, it's just for you to identify what this account is. So if I was doing my PowerPay account, I might call this PowerPay. Login ID, transaction key, and password, all of that information comes from your respective merchant account. The information they may ask for may be different. It may not be a login ID and transaction key. It may be an API key. It may be a file that they ask you to upload. It's different authorization steps for each of the different merchant accounts. So be aware that this information will change. Then account limit, you don't need to worry about. It's more of an advanced feature. You can leave that as 0. Test mode, you make sure to take it out of test mode into live mode when you're ready to go. And send transaction email. If I'm sending receipts through Infusionsoft, I make sure to set this as no, because that would be a transaction email that is sent from the merchant account, which would be redundant if you're sending one through Infusionsoft. So that's the credit cards option. Checks down here, I do want to set the expectations here. Checks is literally a delayed payment. It will notify them where to send their checks afterwards. It is not an ACH, automated clearinghouse transaction. It is not an EFT, electronic funds transfer. It is simply a notice of here's where to send your check. So thank you very much. Now, back to e-commerce setup here. Receipts, you can specify a receipt if you want that to be sent out. You can simply check this box and it will give you the ability to customize a receipt. So let me click preview here. Notice I can put some custom information up top. Thank you for your order. Your order details are below. I can put a custom footer down below if I wanted to as well, and it will include the order summary. You'll also notice here that it takes on the look and feel, the theme from our shopping cart, our default shopping cart theme. Now, the last few things that I want to talk about here, payment plans, discounts, free trials, and upsells. These are kind of similar. So I want you to, if you're interested in discounts and upsells and otherwise, I want you to pay attention here as we talk about some payment plan options. Payment plans, what you can do is you can set these up. I'll click edit. This is one that I've already begun to create. You could click add a payment plan to walk through these steps, but this will save me from having to type information here. You give it a name and a description. I highly recommend that you make sure the description is something that makes sense. The name and the description will both show up in the shopping cart. The name will be where the product name would normally be. The description would be the short description. What this also helps you do is know what this was applicable for. So if somebody else is looking at this in the future, somebody else takes over running Infusionsoft for you, they know what this meant. Down here under finance charge, many times if you are offering somebody a payment plan option, you will also charge them a finance charge, so an additional charge over and above the original price of the product. You can do that as either in a percent or a flat amount. Scheduling down here allows you to define what's the total number of payments, how long between the payments, and days until start. If you want this to be an immediate start, you'll just leave this as 0. Options down here, most of the time you aren't going to change any of these. Merchant account, you'll just leave it as your default merchant account. You won't override your merchant account. You do want it to auto charge your payment plans and days between recharge attempts and max retries. Again, most of the time defaults here are all that you're going to set. Now, what you can do is click save. Once you click save, it will pop up this criteria option. You won't see it until you click the criteria option. Underneath criteria, what you're able to do is define when this payment plan is allowed. Okay, so what you're able to do here is essentially put locks on the door. That's how I found the best way is to describe this. This payment plan, you only want people to have access to this payment plan or to be eligible for this payment plan typically when they meet certain requirements. Those requirements could be you're offering this payment plan option within a certain date range, or when they enter a certain promo code, or if they have certain products at certain quantities. So if you buy 5 of this product, then you can be eligible for a payment plan. Or if they've also purchased a subscription plan or a total dollar amount within their order. So you have the ability to then define some criteria. So I've set up 3 different sets of criteria here. One being a product quantity criteria. I said you have to order between 1 and 20 of this particular product. You have to enter the promo code pay plan. You have to order it between these certain date ranges. And the reason I describe it as locks on a door is you have to unlock all 3 locks in order to be eligible for this payment plan. So notice here, if I go over to my cart, continue shopping, and let me go add that Moab excursion, which is the one that I'm keying off of here. Let me add that to my cart. Let me add 3 of those because 3 falls between 1 and 20. I fall between this date range here, 3/1 and 5/31, but I haven't yet entered the pay plan. So as soon as I enter the pay plan promo code, now you'll see it pops up this payment plans option where I can choose 3 payments of $466.67. So that's how that works. That's how criteria will work, not just for your payment plans, but also for, let me go back here to our e-commerce setup, are discounts, free trials, and upsells. So if you're doing any of those, what you're able to do, let me click through on one of these. On an upsell, sorry, let me go back. Give me a moment here. Back to promos. If you want to add one of these types of promotions, an order total discount, product specific discount, shipping discount, right? All of these you can choose from this section here. So if your order exceeds a total amount and I want to discount that option, then I would choose the order total discount, and it will give a discount to the entire order. Again, notice it doesn't show the criteria down here until I hit save, until I create something. So I have one of those already created, order total discount. Again, I can specify the name, the description. Payment type says, what are we looking at? The gross or the net? And do we want to offer a percent or an amount discount? Make it variable or flat. And then you can specify what that is down here. Down below underneath criteria, again, we have the same criteria here: date range, promo code, product quantity, subscription plan, and order total criteria. So you can go through and begin to create each of those. Again, the criteria are locks on a door, which will unlock things like this. Sample order total discount. That's the one we were just looking at, which discounts 10%. Upsells. Upsells will appear. So I've got the study course upsell. You can define when you want upsells to appear, relevant orders, related things. Usually your upsells will be offered when somebody has ordered a specific product. You can then upsell them an additional product. And then you can go through and they can then simply add that to the cart. So you have a lot of options there underneath promotions, promo codes. This is where you can simply manage different promotion codes that you've created: early bird, pay plan, and freebie. These are ones that I've set up. I can delete them if necessary. The last option here, we're starting to get into our shipping options and our fulfillment reports. And I do see that we've had a number of questions coming through here. I'm trying to wrap this one up here by 9:30, and then I'll go through any of those questions as well. So shipping options, what we've got within shipping options, if you do need to charge for shipping, you can simply type your information here underneath the ship from location. This is most important if you're using the UPS integration that we have. So you'll type in your information here. Shipping method, where that comes into play, is you get to define what type of shipping rate you want to apply. So if I click add a method, I can choose UPS, and that enables me to then, underneath UPS setup, connect it to my UPS account. So it will simply go through and grab my UPS shipping rates and then pass that through to my customers so that they're charged the appropriate rate based on where I'm shipping to. So I enter all my UPS shipping information here, define what is my delivery type down below. Now, the other options here are fixed rate shipping quotes. So specific price per product. I can specify this is how much it costs me to ship each of these individual products. Ship by weight, instead of looking at individual products, will allow you to add tiers. So I could go 0 to 5 pounds, I'm going to charge a certain dollar amount. And then 5 to 10 pounds, I'm going to charge a different dollar amount. So I can do tiers based on weight. I could also do tiers based on order total, dollar amounts. Or we can start to look at order total or order quantity. So where order quantity comes in is I could say I'm going to charge a minimum of $10, and then for every item below or above every item that you order, I'm going to charge $2 per item. So you can have your base rate and then a variable amount per item on top of that. Flat rate is just a simple flat rate per order. So there's a number of different options here. What's also important to recognize is if you ship internationally and domestically, you'll need to create 2 different versions of whatever shipping choice you choose. If you want to ship, for example, using UPS, you'll set up UPS as one. Leaving this unchecked, international shipping method, leaving it unchecked means that will be available for domestic shipping. creating your UPS option a second time and then checking this means it will be available for international shipping. So you need to create both versions there. That gives you more control over your domestic and your international shipping rates. How do you define domestic and international? You do it here underneath options. Basically here you can choose your A, allow shipping outside of the United States, and then B, countries considered domestic, select all that apply. You can choose which countries here fall underneath your domestic shipping options. So that goes through the majority of things here. The last one is fulfillment reports. I'll just point this one out. Fulfillment reports are great for fulfilling on your products. So that's why I want to make sure we cover that. If you are shipping products yourself, if you have physical products that you're shipping, or if you have a fulfillment center that is shipping the products for you, you'll want to use your fulfillment reports. What you're able to do on those is create different reports based on who's fulfilling on the product. So you could have a mixture of internally fulfilled products and externally fulfilled products that are done by a fulfillment house. Basically, what you can do on that is you can create a fulfillment report. When to fulfill: immediately, invoice paid current, or invoice paid full. The invoice paid current is going to be most beneficial if you're doing payment plans. Immediately is most beneficial if you're delaying the first payment even. Invoice paid full is what I use typically if I'm selling products that are paid upfront in full. So that's what you'll want to utilize there. When to fulfill: invoice paid full. Products or products with subscriptions. This right here is where we define which products will appear on this fulfillment report. So if I fulfill some products internally and some externally, let's say this is my internal one, I would list all the products here that I fulfill internally, and then it would add only those products when they're sold to my fulfillment report. And this tells me what I need to ship out. The schedule down here defines how often I want this fulfillment report to be assigned, every X number of days, on the same day each week, or when there's a certain number of process, so that I can batch things out. So I can choose how I want to fulfill on these. And then the delivery method down here simply defines how I want the person responsible to fulfill on these to be notified. Manually processed means it will show up on their dashboard. So on your dashboard, you can add a fulfillment job. It's notifying me here of some fulfillment jobs. I can add a dashboard widget called fulfillment jobs, and that will then show me the jobs that I need to take care of. So fulfillment report, I've got something here that I need to deal with. So when you have a fulfillment report set as manually processed, then it will appear on that user's dashboard, managed by and approved by. I can set those right here and it will appear on that user's dashboard. Alternatively, if this is an external group that's fulfilling on this information, I can have it sent by email here. Even if it's not external, it may be somebody within your organization that simply doesn't have access to Infusionsoft. You could have this then sent out to them via email. Put in their email address, who you want it to appear to come from, and it will simply attach a CSV file, a spreadsheet file that contains all of the shipping information, who it's shipped to, what the order items are, and otherwise. So that's how we take care of our fulfillment as well. Now, here's what I want to do. Let me go back to e-commerce setup. I know we've had a ton of questions that have been coming through here, so I want to start going through those particular questions. Let's take a look here. Joshua, you were asking a question here early on where you said the difference between coaching and professional services. Was that a question there, Josh, or were you just making a statement there? If that was a question, just clarify that for me. Rebecca said, we have a subscription software product that is online that does not need to be shipped but is digital. Rebecca, great question. That's going back to our products option where we were talking about products being digital or products. So if you remember when I said add a product, the only time I said you want to choose a digital option is when it's a file It's a digital product that you're going to deliver via email after purchase. So if you're doing a subscription software, you said it's a subscription software that's online and doesn't need to be shipped, and it's not digital, you can simply choose that as a product option and then define that as a subscription. So that subscription, let me go right back in here. Let's set this up. This is a product. So you have this defined as a product, and then you can set it up as a subscription that will then be charged every month. It doesn't need to be shipped. It's not digital there. So I think you should be set. Mark, let's see. Mark asked a question. He said, hey, we have a site up, and now we need to have 2 storefronts, a retail available to any visitor and a wholesale available to someone who is a Customer Hub member. Mark, good question there. Mark, what you're probably going to need to look at when it comes to 2 storefronts, if you are limiting the products that they can see between those storefronts, and if they have different pricing and otherwise, that's not something that you're going to be able to achieve through the Infusionsoft storefront. Okay, through the Infusionsoft storefront, what you will have is simply one storefront that will display all of the products that you have set to active. If you now need to show only certain products to certain people, then Mark, it looks like you may need to create a storefront behind some sort of membership site. That could be something like Customer Hub. You would need to create a storefront there where you can control who accesses it, and then you can choose specific products that you will show on there. So that's what it looks like you'll need to do there, Mark. Oops, and I hadn't yet asked one other question that I wanted to here. Let me ask a quick poll question here. How would you rate the content on today's call? Go ahead and give me some feedback there as well while I'm continuing to go through some of these questions, taking a look at some of the questions. Let me know how the call was here today. And if you have some specifics about something that you liked about it or didn't like about it, something that connected well with you or didn't, go ahead and leave that for me in the comments section as well, or rather the questions section here. Go to webinar here doesn't allow me to do at least I haven't figured out how to do a open field response for any deeper comments, but I always appreciate those as well. So I'll leave that up for about 5 more seconds. We'll go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And I'll close that again. Thank you very much for your feedback here. And I will save that information. There we go. Okay. Now to keep going through some of these questions that we've got. Rick, did I answer your question there that you had on taxes? We got to that through the e-commerce setup portion. Actually, you can just go to e-commerce settings, sales taxes, and that's where you can begin to customize that information. Mark asked, how do we import? Where do we go? Great question, Mark. Here's what you do. You go to admin import data. On that, you can choose to import products or products with subscription plans. You can click on products and say go. And if you want to, you can download a sample CSV file for importing your product. So Mark, that will give you the types of fields that we encourage you to the types of fields there that you can then utilize to import, okay? You do not have to import it exactly in this form, okay? So it shows you, all these columns in this direction. You don't have to import it exactly column by column in this order because you can map the import. But this is the type of information that we encourage you to pass along. Short descriptions. Is it shippable? Charge shipping on this product, yes or no? Product cost, this is the cost per unit if you're tracking costs. Is it hidden in store? So anyways, those are the options that you have there, Mark. Dan said, can I import my GoDaddy storefront into Infusionsoft? Dan, it depends on if you can export your GoDaddy storefront. Typically you are able to export information, and that should export it to a CSV file, Dan, then you can import it the way I just showed. The way I was just showing Mark here. Go to the main navigation here, import data, and then choose to import your products and click go. Ilona said, once all products are recorded and attached to the website, will they be ready for purchase, or is there need for additional design by the web designer? Ilona, I think you asked this question here before I went through the theme option. Again, out of the box, you may be happy with the themes that you've got there. Just swap out a logo and maybe delete that picture there on the main screen. You do have a crisp, modern-looking, storefront here that you could be able to send people to once you've set up your payment options there and be ready to go. If you then wanted to make some tweaks and customizations to it, you could. But at least out of the box, you can get something pretty good looking there. Hey, Mark, keep an eye out on Twitter. I'll post out the information on QuickBooks there to Twitter. Let me just do that right now. Otherwise, I might forget. Right here, Mastermind Archive, Infusionsoft, and QuickBooks, and I will just post that out here to Twitter. There we go. So check that one out there, Mark, and you'll have access to it. Rick said, can we use options when we host our own storefront or send them directly to the product? Rick, the options, I will tell you, when you're using your own storefront, it's not easy to use the options feature. I saw one guy that did it. He had to do a lot of custom coding and digging to figure out how that part worked, Rick. So it's not an easy thing. The options are really baked in to work with the order forms and the storefront. Anne Marie asks, how can I have individual products only available to one person that I would send via email? Anne Marie, if you're sending those via email, first off, let me answer a bigger question. Can I show certain products to certain people? The answer is no. The storefront will show all of your products to everybody that visits. So that was kind of cueing off of Mark's question earlier, where Mark asked about different members and levels. So if you, Marie, are wanting to send an individual product to somebody via email, that's where you will want to use that product option. Let me go to a product here. You'll want to use that option right here, cart option, say edit, and hide it in the cart, which is hiding it in the storefront so nobody can see it and purchase it. But then it's still an active product, so it can still be sold. It's just not visible in the storefront. So that's where, Anne Marie, you would come to the links option, and you can send this link to them in an email, thereby achieving your goal there. You can send it to them via email. It's only available to that person when they click through on the email, and everybody visiting your storefront can't see it. Monica, did you catch how you can add your own company colors to the theme there? You can go through in the customization portion, storefront themes, edit that theme. You can begin to edit that information underneath the edit CSS portion. Okay, so where that comes into place, notice here, controls fonts, colors, and background images. You would need to come in and take a look. We've got navigation. Let's see. Background color right here. Okay, so you could swap out your background color. Again, it is code. So if you don't know code, it may be a little bit more difficult. One of the things that I love, I'll be honest, I don't know code. I'll be completely honest. I am not a tech head when it comes to code. I know patterns though. And so there's a tool that I love using called Firebug. You can search for, it's a Firefox add-on called Firebug. And I use that to figure out, okay, if I need to change this color right here, how do I do it? I pull up Firebug and I click this little icon and I can say, okay, this right here, where do I go to edit that? And over on the right-hand side here, it tells me, hey, this is your nav list item A. Okay, so it tells me which CSS information I'm dealing with. So if I want to change that information, nav A, text, color, font weight, all of that information, modifying this here is what will impact this option. So that's just a little trick there for you, a little tool using Firebug. If you're not a code person, you don't have to be. What that does for you is it will tell you the elements that you're looking for. Okay, here if I hover over the background, it tells me background color, background image, and I can even make edits right here. If I wanted to take out the background image, I could do that and apply this information. Change the background color. If I wanted my background color to be white, then I can see live edits before I even go in and deal with the code. So just a little trick there that you can utilize. Rick, let's see. Rick said, am I right? One can only use the two-step checkout with the storefront and shopping cart, not with order form themes. Rick, you're absolutely correct. The order forms are designed to be a single, like all-in-one checkout. So it shows them the products and accepts the payment right there. So you're absolutely correct. Ellie asked, will Infusionsoft soon let us edit the design of the lower areas of our shopping cart without HTML and CSS, similar to how we can edit it in WordPress and our signature with Infusionsoft? Ellie, we are working on that one. As far as like a drag and drop type editor or a WYSIWYG editor, yeah, that is something that we want to enable you to work with. For right now, we couldn't get the we couldn't get the desired impact that we wanted. We didn't have the right tool set there for you. So Ellie, that is something that is on our development timeline. We do want to get that built in there for you, but it's not coming here in the next few months. Recommendations do you have regarding which merchant service company to use for e-commerce? I know some of the ones that we most commonly use there that I've seen a lot of customers use are the ones that are listed there towards the top. Add new. That's the Power Pay and First Data. Those ones are some of the ones that I know we've partnered with in the past. So those are the ones that I would check out first. If you want more details about each individual one, I would recommend that you go to help.infusionsoft.com, click on this Find an Instant Answer option, and then simply search by merchant accounts. And when you do that, it will pull up this article, which merchant accounts work with Infusionsoft. And from there, we actually link out to a lot of those different merchant accounts. There are some that we are phasing out, so those are in red. So I highly recommend you do not go initiate an account with those folks. But you can click through on any one of these, authorize.net. We show you more details on how to connect that particular gateway to Infusionsoft. You can also link out to their particular pages to get more details. The biggest thing that you're going to want to look at there, Amy, is the per transaction and monthly fees. You know, depending on how many transactions you do per month, which one is going to be most appropriate for you. Monica, great question. Monica was asking another question here about themes. Can we copy themes for minor tweaking later, for example, holiday specials, without redoing everything? Monica, at this point, I don't believe that you're able to copy a theme. However, if you are using that CSS to do your stylization, you could simply copy the CSS and paste it over the CSS in the other theme. So hopefully that helps there for you. Rick said there used to be a checkbox that said something like, customer can't change quantity in cart. Is it gone now? Rick, are you talking about the cart or are you talking about the order forms? I know we've got, okay, so let's take a look here. Let me go back to e-commerce setup. Come on. Order forms, I know that's an option. Product bundle links. This was one here when you added something. Let me add a study course right here. Don't allow these products or subscriptions to be removed from the cart. Remove all other products and subscriptions. That's the one spot, Rick, where I know that was available previously, but not in general. There's not just a general don't allow people to modify quantities in the cart, because that's the point of the cart, is to allow them to customize it. Order forms, you can do that. You can define a certain number of products and specify whether or not they can adjust the products or the quantities on there, or if they just have to buy it as is. Rick, is the tax table smart? For example, does it know that California, CA and Calif and California are all the same, or do I have to enter? Each one of those so they can pick the right one? Rick, it is not smart. You would need to enter those different ones. However, let's take a look here at the cart. And the cart for state, the state is not a drop down currently. So yeah, you may need to, Rick, enter those different ones there. Rick asked, there used to be a test Visa card number one could use to test the sales flow without an actual charge. Is that still available? Rick, there's a couple different options here. Number one, let me go in here. The first thing that I always recommend that you do is go here to, when you're wanting to test things, once you've got your merchant account in place, go to e-commerce settings and click on merchant accounts. And what you can do there is you can actually run a test. It says click here to test. And what you're able to then do is type in that card information and hit submit, and it will actually run a test there to make sure that it functions properly. Rick, when it comes to a test Visa card, that will be unique per merchant account that you have. So you would want to check with your merchant account and say, hey, I want to run a test order. What information do you have? And usually they'll have a Visa account or a Visa number or something like that. The ones I've seen it's a 4 with 15 ones after it. That's the ones that I've experienced. Other merchant accounts have something that will indicate that it's a test order that you're running. And so you'll want to check with your merchant account there. What Rick's talking about is, hey, how do I go through the entire shopping cart process? I don't just want to check and make sure that I'm connected to my order or to my merchant account. I want to actually walk through the process here. So once I've added something to my cart, I want to put in the billing information. I want to choose my card, run through the entire process. Most of your merchant accounts will have some sort of test dummy information that you can utilize. You will need to get that from them because it is different on a merchant account basis. Milana asks, what would you recommend as the best way to give a customer the ability to update their billing information? Milan, are you talking about before or after their order? And here's why I ask. If they're going through this setup right here, shopping cart, and they're updating this billing information when they're making the order, it will update what you have on file for them. If you are asking me what I think is the best way to give them the best experience there to give them to update their billing information, that's what Customer Hub was originally created for. That's where it got the name Customer Hub. It was designed to be a portal hub, a membership. It wasn't a membership site, but it was a login site where they could then go in and manage all of that information. So Milan, Customer Hub is, to me, the best way that they can then update that information. Monica, thanks for sticking with me here. You had asked a question earlier. You said, where is the receipts? And that is, the receipts was underneath e-commerce setup, and you could click on receipts. And that's where we go there. Milan, you were asking here, when will the client portal be completely phased out? Are you referencing the Infusionsoft client portal that we've got? Yeah. Honestly, that's something that hasn't been touched in so long. I don't coach to it at all. So as far as being phased out, I don't know if it's going to be turned off at some point. I've not received any word on that. I know some people still choose to use it, but as far as development on it, I don't think that thing has seen any development in a number of years here. So I don't coach to that one at all. As far as a customer experience, I wouldn't send my customers there. I would choose to use Customer Hub, where I can give my customers a much better customer experience. Ellie asked a great question here. As a small business, we currently need to use PayPal for our subscription, digital and mail. Can you let me know how I would manually work around this? We currently use PayPal with auto renew, and subscription boss is not an option. Right now, if you're not using the subscription boss connection and you have to use PayPal for subscriptions, then you need to use a solution other than Infusionsoft. The only way that I've seen to do an auto renewal and a subscription option there with Infusionsoft and PayPal is to use the subscription boss option there. So I don't currently have another alternative for you. You said just a manual workaround. The manual workaround on that makes your client do some more work. They actually have to log in and pay again, which for continuity, Ellie, you're probably not going to want to do. There's no way for you to manually go through and charge their PayPal account. The integration currently requires them to type in their username and password each time a charge is going to be authorized. We are working on improving that, but that's a number of months down the road. We're scoping things out on that one right now. Trust me, Ellie, I am a big proponent for that on the inside here. I'm working very closely with the e-commerce team to help scope that one out. Rebecca, how would you have add a terms and conditions area with a checkbox envision on the web or on the order forms? I've seen some people do that. Rebecca, follow up with me. Either reach out to me on Twitter or via email. Twitter, I prefer. Send me a reminder there, and I'll go dig something up. I've seen some folks in the Infusionsoft community put something together that enables you to do that. I've not dug deep into it, but I could send you a link to the article that they have posted on their blog. Laura asks, can a criteria date be related to when they first come to the site for the first time, or must it be a specific date range? Laura, it does need to be a specific date range. It's not a date range unique to an individual. Let's see. Yeah, Milan, you're correct on that one. I believe it's online somewhere though on a blog post. So I'd like to give credit to the appropriate person. Let's see. Ellie asks, can Infusionsoft generate address shipping labels for USPS and or UPS? No, at this point, it does not generate the shipping labels for either of those two. We can pass through the appropriate charges for UPS, but it does not generate the shipping labels. Mark said, do you know how to create a table like Excel where all the products are listed and visitors can simply select 1 of A, 2 of B, 0 of C, 10 of D? Mark, if you're wanting to do something like that, that's probably going to be an API solution. And I highly recommend that you get in touch with our marketplace. You can go here to view more apps underneath the marketplace. We actually have our consultants there. You'll want to look at our certified developers or our consultants, either one. Most of those folks would be able to help you there, or at least point you in the right direction, Mark. But that would be a custom solution. Dan asked, if I decide to use Customer Hub, do I use what you taught today, or do I do a different shopping cart in Customer Hub? Dan, everything I taught you today is still relevant. Customer Hub is not a shopping cart solution. It's more of a platform to deliver your content or to manage your clients. They can come in and manage their invoices and billing and all of that information. So Dan, Customer Hub uses, it connects to Infusionsoft, and Infusionsoft runs everything that we do best, which is the email delivery, the shopping cart, all of that information. Customer Hub is for your content delivery platform. Laura, I appreciate the feedback there. Definitely do. Reach out to me if there are some specifics as well, Laura, that you're having trouble with, so I can work on addressing those a little bit better during the webinars here. Ilona, thanks for the feedback there, the recommendation. Ellie said, if a subscription product is downloadable, how do we set up the link and back end of that link for making the product available for download? Ellie, you're saying a subscription product. So is this something where they're paying for it monthly, but they just download it up front? Is that your scenario here, Ellie? It's a subscription product, so maybe software. They're paying for the software monthly, but they just download it the first time, so we don't need to send it out to them every month. Ellie, I would look at setting that up as a digital product with a subscription on it. I believe that would send them the email the first time, and you should be set after that. Let me double check on that. Okay, you said new every month. How do you mean? A new product, a new downloadable product every month? Oh, download the next issue every month. Ellie, if that's variable, something like that, you may choose to do a couple things. That's it, personally, if I were doing something like that, that's where I would use Customer Hub. It gives me a lot of control over that. I can set permissions appropriately and distribute that to people with the control that I want on it. As far as having them download a next issue with the controls of a digital product, you're not going to get that the way that you're looking to out of a digital product setup that delivers those emails. The flexibility that you need would be better achieved through a Customer Hub platform, through a membership site platform. Awesome. Okay. Yes, and I'll agree with you on that goal there. Let's see. Next question. Dan, would an order form ever have an upsell, or is it focused on one product only? Dan, we actually updated the order forms here last fall to allow and enable upsells. So you can do an upsell on it. You can have one product only there, but offer an upsell, or you could have a couple products and then offer an upsell. So yes, you can. Monica, beautiful. Thank you very much for the feedback there. I appreciate it. Going through a few of the kind of the clarifying questions here. If you've got any other questions, go ahead and send those my direction. Otherwise, we'll be wrapping up here in just a couple minutes. Hey, Rick, good question. He said, once somebody has purchased, where do we go to see the actual sales documents? Rick, you do that here. Let me get rid of this. Where we go is e-commerce orders, Rick, and that's where you can view all of the orders that have been placed here within your Infusionsoft application. Be that losing my words right now. Let me get my mind back on track. Right here, when you go to the orders portion, this is where you can view all the orders that have been placed, whether it be through order form, shopping cart, manually, or otherwise. They will all appear right here. And then you can simply, let me go further into these. Here we go. You can click on view, and it will simply show you all the details there. Who was the contact it was associated with? Was it paid? Was it online or offline? What were the order items? What payments have been made? Commissions or payment plans? That's where all of that information is then contained. If you need to process refunds, that's right here as well. Mark, you had a clarifying question here. You said you were looking at WooCommerce. Have I heard of it? I have. And if my memory serves me correct, I believe, where are we at here? I believe somebody just created an integration with WooCommerce. So you can come here and search on the marketplace. And I haven't actually done this search before, so I don't know if it'll show up. No, he may not have it posted yet. Mark, you may just want to do a search there, or send me a message on Twitter, and I will post that out there. And where did, okay, you were saying iMember 360 as well. Where did that one fit in? I don't think they do shopping cart with iMember 360, but that is a membership platform. So yes. Yes. Yep. That's another membership platform. It's great for WordPress as well. Let's see. Ellie asked, is greater iPad integration also in the works? We are working on our mobile front. We do have a mobile team that was established last year, and they are working on putting together some mobile solutions for you, Ellie. So keep your ear out for some solutions coming in the future. Hey, I think I've reached the end of the questions that we've got here today. Again, thank you everybody for being here today and for all the great questions that you've contributed here. I know when the questions come through, it's a lot of times the questions that get asked by one person are helping everybody else within the group as well. So thank you so much for bringing and for sharing your experiences and your questions as well. Again, this afternoon, I have another session that I will be teaching, and I forget what that particular session is. Let's go take a look here. That session is going to be the creating email template session. So that one will start here in just underneath 2 hours. And that will be about a 45-minute class there that we go through. So again, thank you so much for being here today. And I look forward to seeing you on a future virtual academy. Have a great day.